everyone, and welcome to DIY Crafts. So today we are crafting in the kitchen. I figured in honor of Mardi Gras, it would be highly appropriate to teach you guys or share with you my favorite jambalaya recipe. So the perks of this recipe is it's very interchangeable. So if you are a vegetarian, you can totally take it that route. If you are not really much of a meat eater, you can substitute turkey and chicken. If you are an all-out meat eater, then you can kind of put all the fun stuff in this dish. For me and my family growing up, the best thing about this dish is the more you add to it, the better it gets, in my personal opinion. So this dish is probably going to be very much different than your authentic jambalaya recipe, but that's why it's my own, and that's why I'm going to share it with you all today. So things that you'll need, and I'll kind of show you the substitutions that you can use as well, but the things that you'll need in general are onions and olive oil. So we're going to start off right away with some olive oil in this pan. So I have a coated cast iron pan here. You can do this in a slow cooker if you want, by kind of adding all the ingredients at once and going for it. You can do this in any type of pot, but my go-to jambalaya dish is this coated ceramic cast iron pan. So I'm going to go ahead and just coat the bottom with some olive oil. Sauteing olive oil, not just plain Jane boring olive oil, because that doesn't taste very good. And then I'm going to let this heat up a little bit, so when I add the onions, it kind of makes that sauteed, steamy, sizzling sound. So I have here a whole diced onion, medium size. I have here chicken, which not everybody uses chicken in their jambalaya, but I thoroughly enjoy it. So if you don't want chicken in your jambalaya, just omit it. I have shrimp. I have ham. And when I went to the store today, I could not find andouille sausage. So a really good substitute for andouille sausage, if for some reason your store, like mine, doesn't carry it because everybody else already bought the store out, is chorizo. It's basically Portuguese sausage. It's got a little kick to it. It's wonderful. All your Portuguese family and friends would love it if you do this dish. My sister-in-law loves it when I do it with chorizo. When I make this dish, I usually do add chorizo in addition to the andouille sausage. If you are not a fan of andouille or chorizo, then you can do chicken sausage. You can do turkey sausage. Basically, any sausage that you enjoy, you can add to this. If you are not a meat eater, then you can make this dish simply as a vegetarian, and just add the spices and then add some veggies, including tofu if you wanted to do that, I suppose. All right, so I have in here my olive oil. I'm going to go ahead and add my onions to that sizzle sound. That's what I was waiting for. And I'm going to go ahead and let those caramelize up a little bit. So I have my pan on high heat, and I'm just going to sizzle these in. So I'm going to bring you guys a little closer so you can see this lovely pan and not me. Check it out. So I'm just going to constantly stir it around because I want to make sure that my onions are not sticking. And if for some reason my pan gets too hot, I can lower the heat. But I'm going for that nice, delicious, sizzly sound. A lot of people like to add celery in here. I'm not a fan of celery, so I omit it. But if you like it, by all means, add the onions, add the celery, and you're going to saute that up pretty well first. So we're just going to caramelize this. And all I'm doing is stirring these around until they get to that translucent stage. So, looking pretty good to me. While this continues to cook, I'm going to go ahead and add my chicken. So I like to do this. I like to kind of put my veggies off to one side. And then go ahead and add the chicken. And I'm just going to let those brown up. I'm going to let it sizzle on the side, and then I'll stir it up a little bit. So again, if you are not a chicken fan or a sausage fan, you can definitely do this with vegetables, onions, peppers, tomatoes. You can do spinach if you want. If you're not a beef eater, you're not a fan of sausage, then I highly recommend chicken sausage. Turkey sausage is a really good substitute. If you cannot find andouille sausage, or you don't like andouille sausage, you can use Portuguese sausage, which is just that chorizo. And I like to add a little pinch of seasonings to my chicken. So I just have some oregano, salt, pepper, and a little bit of cayenne pepper. Just a little. I want to mix in my onions and kind of let that cook up a bit. So while this is cooking, let's talk about the other things that we're going to add to it. Hi! So the other things that we can add to jambalaya is you want it to have a little bit of a kick. So for me, and I know authentic jambalaya does not have tomatoes in it, but this is my jambalaya, so this is how it's going to work. I really like the Del Monte. It has Hatch green chicken chilies. It's mild. They do have a hot version of this, but I like to start off with this version and then add a little bit more kick to it. So this is going to be my spice. It's got my tomatoes, it's got some extra peppers, and it's got some onions in here. So that's why you'll notice that I didn't add any peppers, excuse me, because there's peppers in here. And then instead of using just plain Jane white rice, I cheat and I use any Spanish rice you can find. So this is the Spanish rice I have here. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to use Spanish rice. You can totally add your own Cajun seasonings here. You can add your own little bit of fire here. But I really like the flavors in the Spanish rice. And I think that they complement the chilies in the can here very well. So these are my two go-to for jambalaya. If you have these two items, you can pretty much add whatever you want to it, and it comes out spectacular. And my family can attest to it because they keep coming back for more. So down below, my chicken over here is cooking away. It's getting to that point that it's pretty much fully cooked over here. So I'm going to go ahead and start adding my additional ingredients. So I'm going to add ham. You don't need ham, but you can add it. I like to add it because I like the flavor it offers. It gives kind of that sweet flavor. This is honey maple ham. So it gives a sweet flavor in addition to that spicy kick. Very different than your traditional jambalaya, but I thoroughly enjoy it, and I hope you guys do too if you try this at home. So let that saute up a little bit. And then because I'm feeding an army later, I have this ground chorizo, and I'm just going to go ahead and add this whole thing to it. I'm not being shy here. We're just going to go ahead and add this to it. If you, again, if you could have found andouille sausage, you could have totally added that to this dish. You don't need chorizo. If you have chorizo and you have andouille sausage, I say go for it and add both because they're phenomenal. And for me, again, this is the more the merrier. This is my goulash dish, if you will. So the more you add, in my opinion, the better it comes out. If you are from down south, you probably totally disagree with me. But this is my go-to favorite jambalaya dish, and I hope you guys make it and tweak it to your liking. So everything in here is cooking pretty nicely. Sauteing up quite well. So I do have the shrimp over here. The shrimp is the last thing I'm going to add because it literally takes next to 2-3 minutes to cook, if that. And all you want to do is wait for it to get that pretty pink color. So this is looking pretty good. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add my can of diced tomatoes. So if you're going for more of an authentic jambalaya, what you would want to do is a tomato paste. So authentic jambalaya really doesn't have any tomatoes in it. It has tomato paste in it. So that's that. Mix that around. And we're going to let this saute up for a minute just to kind of crisp up the chicken and everything else. And while that's doing that, all I'm going to do is add some water to this can, probably like about halfway full, and then 1 or 2 chicken bouillon cubes. So let's do that. My can of water. You don't really need to add too much water because there's already quite a lot of liquid going on in here, and the tomatoes are going to give off quite a lot of liquid, but the rice needs to cook, so we need to add some amount of water here. So I don't want to just add water because I don't want to ruin my flavor. So I'm going to go ahead and add a teaspoon of chicken broth or chicken bouillon. Pop that in there. And that just gives it a little extra flavor. You can do chicken or beef, or you can do a combination of the two. Maybe if you have the cubes or the powder, you can do 1 chicken bouillon, 1 beef bouillon. Totally up to you. And now that I have that liquid pretty good, all I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add my Spanish rice packet. And again, if you are not a fan of Spanish rice, you can certainly just do white rice and then add some Cajun seasoning, some red bell pepper, some green pepper, and then some spicy red pepper. So I have here, I don't know if I can reach it. So I have here, tilt you guys up for a second. I have here some red peppers from the garden from last year. We went ahead and hung them in a root cellar and made them nice and dry. So all I'm going to do is take 1 because they're super spicy. I'm not going to crush it. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to put it in here, kind of like a bay leaf when you make soup. And I'm going to go ahead and just let that kind of spice up my dish, if you will. And I'm going to go ahead and add a second packet of rice because I want lots of leftovers. Here we go. And then because I particularly like this dish really spicy, I'm going to add a little bit of extra seasoning here. So there we go. I'm going to reduce my heat to a nice simmer so it boils nice and slowly and I'm not burning the bottom of my pan. And I'm going to cover this and let it do its thing. And pretty much when the rice is done, that's when I'm going to want to add the shrimp. So I'm going to go ahead and add my seasonings here. I have a mixture in here of oregano, a little bit of dill, some salt, some pepper, some garlic, some Cajun seasoning, and some red pepper seasoning. And if it's not fiery enough for you, you can always add more red pepper. You can actually add some hot sauce to this as well. But I assure you, this will be spicy enough as it is. So just look at that. Look how delicious that looks already. Obviously, when the rice is cooked, it's going to look a lot fuller, and this pan's kind of going to blow up a little because the rice is going to expand. I'm burying my pepper here. It smells nice and spicy. All right, so that is my jambalaya. Like I said, this is a dish that's very interchangeable. You can change it out with quite a few different options here. I'm gonna back you guys up so you can see it. So basically, if you don't like chicken, don't add chicken. If you don't like andouille sausage, add chicken sausage. If your grocery store doesn't have andouille sausage like mine, Charisse is a good supplement. It's also good to add the two of them together because they both have a very unique spice to them, and that to me just adds to the flavor. And Echo apparently wants some as well. So I'm gonna let this simmer for probably about a half an hour on a nice slow cook, and I'm just gonna come over here and stir it up every now and again, because the kicker with jambalaya, if you don't stir it, it will stick to the bottom of your pan. So I'm going to cover this, and then pretty much when my rice is done, I'm going to add the shrimp. So I just have here frozen shrimp. It's not cooked. I soaked it in water so I could remove the tails. And then all I'm going to do when the rice is cooked, dump it in here and wait for it to turn that pretty pink color, and voila, I'm done. Of course, do up the taste test. If it's too spicy, add some water. If it's not spicy enough, then add some heat to it. Hot sauce is your best friend with jambalaya. I like to save my hot sauce for after, because not everybody likes it as hot as I do. So what I do is I put it in a bowl, and then I just add hot sauce to the heat that I enjoy it at. But right now it's spicy enough as it is. So chicken sausage is definitely the second best option. They make some really awesome chicken sausage with some red peppers in it and some cheese. If you love chicken, then you can do a variety of those chicken sausages, and it'll pull out some really good flavors. Unfortunately, andouille sausage is really the tribute to jambalaya, and I'm disappointed that the grocery store didn't have it, but I guess what do I get for shopping the day after Mardi Gras? I don't know. What can I expect? So this is definitely a recipe you can play around with. It's very unique. You can add a lot of different things to it. I know that I tend to like to add spinach to it if I want a little bit more vegetables, just because it helps give that green color. You can also add green peppers if you don't have enough green peppers with the can of tomato sauce here, diced tomatoes rather. You can add more chili peppers. For me, one of these red chili peppers is more than enough to give it quite a lot of heat. If it doesn't have enough heat, break it apart, and the seeds in this will make it even hotter. I literally just like putting this much like a bay leaf in soup and jambalaya, and just let it sit there and let the sauce kind of soak up all the flavors in this, and then take it out. But if you are not like that and you want more heat, break it up, cut it in pieces, and actually incorporate it in part of your dish. If it's not hot enough, add some chili flakes. The possibilities for jambalaya is really endless. If you guys have a really awesome jambalaya recipe, share it in the comments. Let us know how you make yours. Clearly, I showed you how to make mine. Pretty much every time I make it, it's a little bit different because I add different things to it. Like, I've never done it without andouille sausage, but I have done it with Charisse and andouille sausage. So I hope that you guys make this at home. If you don't make it at home and you just want to share your recipe with us, feel free to do so. And I'm going to have to let you go because this looks delicious and I'm starving. So enjoy the rest of your day, everyone. And to my office mates, I'll bring you some in tomorrow if you want it. See y'all later.